Hey KC, welcome to Feel Good Fridays with the KC Connector. I'm your host, Brianna Blocker, but I go by Bree. I am a local realtor at Kansas City Realty and a proud community relations specialist at Literacy KC. Now, every Friday, I'm here with feel good stories, local insights, and tips to help you connect with the best people and places in Kansas City. And this week, I have the honor of being here with Rico Conn. He is a community manager at Chase Bank. Welcome, Rico. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, that good. I'm so happy to have you here. We've been connecting more and more lately. You know, we got our big golf tournament that will be at tomorrow. We've been
Absolutely.
doing things with the Literacy Advocates Board and
Mhm.
just connecting outside of this with work. So, can you please tell the viewers a little bit about yourself, what you do at Chase Bank, and where you're from?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, just a pleasure to be here, Bree. What a wonderful space to connect with Kansas City and share some good news and just to really educate the people about what's happening in their city. And so my name again is Rico Conn. I'm a community manager for Chase. And I have the luxury of being able to teach financial literacy out in the community. And so I partner with organizations like Literacy KC, small businesses, nonprofits, where we get to bridge the gap of wealth and start to really educate our people on how to manage their finances.
I love that. And I feel like money is so important. It's something that we need, but it's something that gives us access, but also without it leaves us kind of helpless. So, what do you feel like? And we can kind of just dive right into the questions, but what are some of the most common money myths you hear about in our community?
Yeah, one of the biggest common myths that I want to talk about today isn't one particular myth, but more of an overall idea. And that's just be careful with information that you're receiving from social media about finance. So many of us, we hear this story that connects or resonates because it answers the questions that we have. And because it checks those boxes, we assume that that information is correct. And as a previous branch manager, I did more myth busting about loans, credit, buying homes than actually doing anything else. So there are a ton of myths out there. Just be careful who
Oh,
you get information from and make sure you vet that information.
facts. I feel like as a realtor, you don't realize how much misinformation is out there until you talk to somebody, and then I'm like, wait, where did you even learn this?
Yeah,
I feel like yes, home ownership, sorry, credit, things of that nature. I feel like credit is also something that's really important. Would you explain a little bit about how someone? Because I'm also in school, I'm a new mom.
congrats.
Thank you. I feel like credit is so important, and I don't think people fully understand that credit is something that we need, but it's always fluctuating. Is
Yeah.
there any common myths relating to credit, or is there anything that young people can start doing now to really help their credit in the future?
Absolutely. So that's a two-pronged question I definitely want to make sure I address in order. So the first thing is credit myths. Number one, no one's giving you anything for nothing, right? And so you have to have skin in the game, and just really understanding what credit is first is a great first step. What is credit? And then once you understand what credit is, then take the next deep dive into how do I manage credit?
Mm,
How do I use credit that's advantageous to me in a way that won't create bad habits or put me in a bunch of debt, but also help me do the things that I want to do with credit, like buy that fancy car or
hmm
buy a nice house or just a house in general, or use credit card to benefit from the Southwest points or whoever points you're
Yep.
going to benefit from. So that's one thing with credit is start out as early as you possibly can. Um, for parents, really opening up that conversation with young adults, making sure that they understand what a bank account is,
Mm,
and then translate that into, well, how does a bank account connect to credit? How do
yeah.
banks and managing those relationships relate to credit? And
Yeah.
so I would definitely say start as early as possible. There are a lot of resources and programs out there. Make sure you vet those programs or be a part of a program where you can go in and ask questions and learn about credit, the ins and outs, and the fine comb to detail.
What is something that? How can someone vet? Because I feel like you're saying something that I
Mhm.
understand, something that you maybe understand. But what about that person who is like, I don't know what questions to ask?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the number one thing with credit again is just starting with what is credit. And once you have that foundation understanding, Then you can begin to kind of research. This is what I'm trying to do. I also recommend talking to a banker because once you're able to connect products to the actual credit, it makes sense. Okay, I know I'm taking a trip, for example. What tool could I use that could either A, help me save money taking that trip, or B, where I could take that trip and not deplete my savings? And so until you go in and talk to a banker and listen to those programs, or you start doing work research on like NerdWallet. I love NerdWallet because NerdWallet is nonpartisan, right? They're not a bank. All they do is review different credit products, especially credit cards. And so that's a great resource to go learn information, not only about credit, but then you can start comparing and contrasting different products to see which one fits you. Because I might work at a bank and I might have a product, and that product might be great for 99% of the population. But for 1% of the population, that credit card may not make sense. And that's where you want to make sure that you research these things. Start with people you trust. Hey, do you know a good banker? Do you know a good CPA or somebody who just understands finance, or an advisor?
Yes.
And then engage those folks.
I think that's so important. And I'm still looking for those things as well. And since we're still on that topic of credit, one thing I did want to talk about and just really get more understanding about is how can someone, and I know a lot of millennials probably can relate, what about that person who's not new to this, who's just maybe their credit was messed up by their parents at a young age? You know what I'm saying? That's a conversation that I think a lot of people don't have, but probably should, because I know I was affected by that. I mean, I love you, mommy. I love my mommy. But she was a single mom. She had to do what she had to do. And I don't think she fully understood, oh my God, if I do this to my kid now, what her future would look like.
The consequences, we don't understand
that. Consequences. And I think it was dire for me once I got to college and I tried to buy my first car. And I was like, wait a minute, what? I never had a credit card when I was. And so, and not to like throw shade at my parents or anything, I just think that it's important to talk about that too. What does credit repair look like? You know?
Yeah, that's a phenomenal question. And some people don't believe in it. You know, I remember when I first got into banking, I was riding down the street and there was a commercial that come on and they were talking about like, hey, get your credit fixed. It really works. I bought a house. And they had all these testimonials and they were hyping people up about calling this number on 103 Jams to fix their credit. And I was like, that ain't real. That's fake. That's cat. No, it's very real. It's possible. And you're actually looking at an individual who can really say, I actually repaired my credit, because like many other minority folks or urban folks, right? It's not a color to it. It's more of a lifestyle that doesn't translate that education to their young students. And so I grew up in an environment where that was very normal to have a light bill or a cable bill in your name as a young person.
You're like, wait a minute.
Or I'll tell you another thing that's super popular that starts people on a really bad track is that they're young. And then they go get 2, 3, 4, 5 credit cards, right? They've been deprived so long of the things they want, like the fashion, or maybe just putting gas in their car. And so they go get these credit cards and they have the intention of actually paying them back. And then they start drowning in debt and life, and rent goes up and this and that. And daycare is expensive. You got all these bills.
You know, I know.
And so I'm not going to pay this credit card bill.
Because we're pressing issues. Yes.
I got to keep my lights on.
Yes.
So forget that credit card bill. And so really making sure that you start with good habits. But knowing that credit can be repaired, it's real. There are different groups. Again, do your research, read reviews. Right? Read reviews and look for reviews that sound fake, right? Look for like things like a person that typed in all caps or something with a bunch of misspelling in it may be a fake one, right? Look for things that are authentic that may have like pictures or may have a profile attached to it. If you look on Google reviews, they'll have profiles attached to it. And if you can find like a real name with like a picture that looks realistic, I trust that review over others. So that's one thing about reviewing when you're looking for credit repair places. The reason why I bring that up, this is so vital. I know countless number of people that have been burned by a credit repair person, right? Hey, my homegirl does it. Hey, my auntie does it. My cousin, I swear to God, you can't make this up. He's getting his credit repair. He pays his lady like $2,000 and she died.
Wait.
Yeah.
Died?
She died.
That's crazy
And
to
I'm
me.
even laughing about her dying, but he's like, "No, what did I do?" And I'm
And now
like,
my money's just gone. I can't do that. Something like that happened to me. That's so funny. It wasn't $2,000, but yeah, I tried to buy an investment property, and yeah, that person died.
with your money or something.
With my money, I was like, died. Like what? No, when was that? That was probably 2020, 19. That's so
I didn't mean to
diabolical.
be tickled by that, but the truth of the matter is that if you're going through a reputable company, you're not going through that. When Bree isn't feeling well and you still need to show that house, Bree has a backup. She has a partner that's going to be able to make sure that business continues as usual. And so those are some things that you're watching out for, is that they're able to complete the process. But yes, it's true. I remember going from like a 512. I remember the number 512 because it's the same number as a memory card.
That's hey, at least you remember, right?
Like a 512, man. And so I went through the program, and what it was just to shed a little bit of light on what it was. I'm gonna shut up. What they do is they'll have you sign up for like a program, and that program will be like a credit monitoring program. And what'll happen with that program is it'll give them an opportunity to see where your credit is, look at the score, look at the history, what's derogatory on there, what can we fix? Are there any errors that we can start attacking right away?
Yeah.
And so like one of the things that happened for me where I kind of got lucky, right? I had to pay for this service, but like, for example, one bill had my middle initial incorrect.
Okay.
So they couldn't prove me from the person that they had the incorrect name. And so if you don't have the wherewithal to understand that you can fight that way, right? And so I had like a $700 bill get removed off my credit completely.
The name was wrong.
Because the name was wrong. And so some of these things we can fight, but we just don't know how. And so start looking at some
for
of
a
those
wrong
resources.
misspelling.
You feel me? Please spell my name wrong, because that ain't me.
It ain't me. I got one N, not two.
So credit repair
I think you said a few things that I really think are highly important. One thing you said is scamming. I think that's with the AI advancing the way it is, technology being as advanced as it is, I think that it's really important that we understand the importance of fact checking.
Absolutely.
I think AI is an amazing addition to just our lives, but it is by no means meant to replace your mind. And so I think it's highly important, because I have myself been scammed, because I come on now, AT&T ain't sending big, like everything that you said that you could get got on, I got on. I was like, dang, you didn't think that a young person that was literally in school for technology would be tricked. And so it's real easy to get bamboozled, which I think that maybe I might even do an episode about things. I think that's highly important.
We should totally do one on scams.
I think that is
I have
so important.
So many examples of scams, so many like intense, in-depth scams. I've seen some that are just very vague and very basic, and they're just catching people.
They go in, baby.
Touch the base. Yeah. So one thing that I do want to say just real quick is, even me being a life banker, I've been in banking for 15 years. And so I know this stuff like the back of my hand. Yeah. I've seen almost everything: romance scams, business scams, like employment scams. I've had people go do work and I come to the bank to cash the check, and the check is fraud.
Are you serious?
Account doesn't even exist.
That was,
and they've done the work. They got pictures to show that they did the work. They've been clocking in the system. And so these
don't think it's going to happen to you until it happens to
I'm working a job. How can I get scammed?
Because you're a good person. You think that company is also good. That's everything you said. I was like, I got in all those ways. And that's why I think it is important that we educate ourselves and have that discernment.
And that's a big, that's a big piece of finance. It's the protection of your finances. And so, how do you have the emotional intelligence to be able to navigate a scam? Because most scams are more emotional than they are wit, right? It's like, I could be great at technology, but this scam has nothing to do with technology.
Nope. They just call the old people.
They're pulling my heartstrings.
Yes.
Oh,
could you please? My mom also works in the bank, and she has heard several stories. She's like, these old people just be eating it up. I'm like, but they believe it, because what else are they gonna do? You don't believe that somebody's gonna be as intricate as to go as far as going where some of these scammers go just to get some money.
And then this ruins people's credit too, to connect that right back to the previous question, right?
And that definitely
friends do it to each other.
Friends do it to each other.
Family members.
That's so funny. So you also had mentioned something about habits, and I feel like that is also something that's really important. You know, I'm learning about micro habits and things like that, and how micro habits really form your everyday habits that can really set you up for success. So what are some money habits that people can start doing now to really set them up for success?
Number one, save. And I know that's easy to say, and it's hard to do. Oh my God. So my great grandmother, real quick, give you some context to this. She was an accountant back when Black women weren't accountants. And so, you know, she had the luxury of being able to be okay financially. And so one of the things that she would always often say is like, save your money. And I remember being paycheck to paycheck. It's like, I can't save anything. I'm in overdraft. I'm going to ask you to borrow some money.
I might say that.
Talking about save some money. But I don't care how small it is. Let me tell y'all a cheat code. I met this young lady. She worked at McDonald's. I'll never forget her. She was a team lead way back in the day, and she would come into the branch back when I was a teller, and she would cash her checks. They would get paid like every Friday, and she'd come in and cash her check.
Okay.
Of the denomination of how she wanted her breakdown of her money, she'd ask for like 3, 4, sometimes 5 rolls of quarters. But it was every week, and so in my mind, I was like, man,
what's she doing?
What is she doing with all these quarters? It's a lot of laundry.
I was thinking that.
This is a lot. So finally, I built up the courage to ask her, hey, what are you doing? Glad you asked. This is how I save for Christmas. Excuse me? Yeah, so I save quarters because my pride and my ego
ain't gonna let me go to the store with their
it ain't gonna let me go back in them quarters. And I was like, that's pure genius. And sometimes we can do things like that. Buy a roll of quarters every time you get paid. Save $10 every 2 weeks. That's $20 a month. Well, if you're out of gas, man, that's gonna put you back in the game, coach.
Let me give y'all my tips since we throwing out tips and tricks. So we got this site. It's called Rippling. I don't know whatever financial sites that you guys use. On ours, we have full control over how much we put into our savings or whatever. I do have 2 different accounts. You can actually go even talk to your boss if that's the type of career field that you have. But I would just literally take out a percentage of my check. That way I don't even see the money. It's just automatically going into this other card that I leave at home anyway. And if I absolutely need the money, I got to go home and find this card, you know what I'm saying? Or go to the bank and take it out because I only have a savings account there. I just make it nearly impossible for yourself to save. Again, it's a hassle because sometimes I'll be like, listen, I need that money and I'm trying to be better. And even if you can start saving just a little bit, like you said, it does add up. It does add up.
And even if you're not saving it for like, let's say that, because this is just realistic. Some people watching this video, they're not going to have $20, $50, $100 every 2 weeks or even every month to save. But hear me when I say this. If you save $5 a week every 2 weeks, we're talking about $20, $30 that when you really need it. Haven't you been there? Bro, I just need a dub.
I just need $20.
If I had a 20, I'd be good for the week.
Gas in my tank, yes.
That's it.
Been there.
And so don't look at it as I can't save what I think I should be saving, so I'm not going to save. Save anything. I don't care how small it is. And to your point, put it in a place. Put it in a bank account that's not easy to get to. One that you don't have an ATM card. One where you got to physically drive to or withdraw from it. One that is going to make you have to take a sick day from work to go get it. Right? That's one option. Another thing I just want to say, and I'd be remiss if I didn't, is if you work and you have a 401k or any type of savings plan, I don't care if the employer matches or not. Hopefully they match. Put money in your 401k. That's money that comes out typically pre-tax.
That is such a good.
So you don't even miss it.
Yes.
You don't even notice it sometimes. And if you do, it's so small, it's forgivable.
What can you tell our viewers about a 401k plan? It's so funny because I've come to rely on my Roth and my 401k. Because if you don't know this, a Roth IRA plan really does help that younger person, or maybe even like later in life. Maybe you come into a financial hardship, you start a family, you need a car, you need a down payment on a house. Your Roth is something that you can actually go into and like take money out of. And I don't think a lot of people know about that. So could you kind of go 401k for dummies?
I love it. So number one, a 401k is a savings plan through your job. And what they do is they take those dollars and they invest them into the market. Now you're dealing with highly educated, you know, professionals in this world who are advisors. And obviously they want you to win, right? And so it is a risk, right? You can lose money in it. You usually gain though. You usually gain so much that you can do things like what Bree just snuck something in there on y'all. You can buy a house with this money. This is money that you have a hard time saving by yourself that's going to automatically be saved for you. It's going to be invested. It's going to make some really good interest. And next thing you know, a year, 2, 3 years down the line, you're sitting at 10, 15, $20,000 and you didn't even know it. And then you're like, I don't even know that I can access that money. Well, during hardships, to Bree's point, you can, right? So if you struggle with saving and you need small little ways to put money up, the 401k to me is by far the best one. Amen. Because your employer also is going to give you free money on top of it. Amen. Usually. Amen. Come on now, y'all. And you can use it to buy a house. I cannot say that enough. So all my people who looking for a house, Bree is an amazing realtor. She's going to show you all the dope houses. She's going to make sure that you get honest treatment. But on top of that, she's also going to tell you to go back and talk to your employer and inquire about your 401k.
I actually just helped one of my really good friends. She just purchased a house. We did it we closed in December of last year. And literally one of my good friends that helped her, his name is Tori. Shout out to you, Tori.
Let's go, Tori!
He literally encouraged her. He's like, let's look at your 401k. And I'm not saying do it always. It's not something that you should just have in the back of my mind. I'm gonna just go ahead and take out my 401k, because the goal of the 401k is to set you up for your future, to set you up so that way when you get older, you can live comfortably or a little bit nice and you ain't gotta work. Yeah. I just, like I said, don't even think about it until it's like a dire situation, and that's usually what I use it for.
Absolutely.
If I just had a baby. So again, to your point, childcare is crazy. I'm in the wrong profession. I said I'm in the wrong profession. But I know you got a busy day. I got a busy day. It's Chiefs Friday.
Red Friday.
It's Red Friday. But I have another question. I know you do work for Chase Bank, but we're not going to talk about that program. We're going to talk about, do you know, I guess, here's a good one. What's a great question someone should ask their bank, but actually never does? Because you talk a lot about like those money myths or like bank myths.
Absolutely.
What are some things that people should be asking their banks?
You know, number one, asking banks questions in general and feeling comfortable with asking banks in general, I would recommend just go by a branch. You know, wherever you bank at, go by that branch and ask to speak to the branch manager, right? Talk to the branch manager, build a relationship with that manager. Now, that manager may not always be available. Now have somebody like a banker who has the skill set to deal with you, but at least you can build that relationship, right? Because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's hard for me to gauge what questions you should ask because I don't know what you're looking for. And there's just so many. But number one, make a relationship. Ask the question of who are these people in this branch?
Yeah.
What resources do y'all have available for people like me and for the things that I'm looking at? You know, write down 2 to 3 goals that you have within the next year or two. And then walk into the bank, your bank, and say, hey, here's some goals that I have that have to do with finance.
Okay.
How can you assist me with that? Those guys are great at looking at a team approach and saying, okay, you want to learn more about saving for a house. So here's what we could do. We could start with talking about a savings plan. Let's talk about savings accounts. What worked for you? Well, currently, how are you saving? Right? And then you can ask questions. Well, what programs do you have? A match savings program? You know, if I was to do a mortgage with y'all, what's the minimum credit score?
Okay.
Right? People don't ask, what's my minimum? People think you need a 700 credit score for a house, and that's just not true.
It's not.
If people knew that and they knew to ask that, they would know that for most banks, 580 is the minimum entry credit score to even talk about a mortgage. Yes. And a lot of people are walking around with 620s, you know, because they're doing the things, but they're not elevated enough because they don't have that information, but they're doing the right stuff and they have the right habits on paper. They're probably gonna get approved. And so go in and apply. Be okay with getting denied today and saying, you know what, I'm gonna use that denial and I'm gonna use that letter and the stuff in there
And they fix it.
And I'm gonna fix it.
I'm gonna fix it.
So just don't be afraid to build relationships. I don't have one question that I want you to ask. I want you to go in and build a relationship with your banker team. That way, when things come out, they keep you front of mind and in front of that line.
And that's our challenge to you guys. I challenge everybody watching to go into your bank this week or next week. I'm gonna say next week because it's Friday.
True.
Go into your bank and talk to your bank manager and ask them, what are some resources that I can be using right now to better my credit, to help my financial situation, to start saving, money every month. I think that's highly important. I just think it's a little nerve-wracking because I know I'm somebody who's like, I call myself an extrovert, but I'm also an introvert.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's cool.
I'm social till I ain't.
And like if it's something that I'm just not fully aware of or fully comfortable with, and I think money is also, it's touchy, but it's embarrassing. It can be embarrassing sometimes, especially if you don't have enough of it. I think sometimes people feel like they are judged. And I would really implore, anyone watching, like, don't feel judged. One thing I had to realize as I'm getting older is that more people are going through what you're going through than what you think. And so don't think that you're an anomaly. Like, you ain't special.
Believe it or not, too, I'm glad that you bring up perspective in this, right? And we think more about like the mental state of dealing with money. I think that part definitely needs to be explored more. It's like, what are the effects of money and what are the feelings about money? And, are these feelings even valid? Should we be shaming people who don't have the things, right? And these have been conversations we've had, but we should continue them. And we should continue to talk to our babies about image.
Yeah.
And do you have to have on the most expensive outfit to have the nicest outfit?
No.
Right. And that's when you get older, you learn that.
I know that. I'm a very elevated woman, but I don't have to wear Louis Vuitton.
I don't have to wear that.
I'm just cleaning. I'm polished.
Yeah, and you can look just as far as that next person. And so, being okay with that. But another thing I want to share, y'all working at the bank, they came out recently. The owner of Oracle just surpassed Elon Musk for the world's richest man with like over $400 billion in like assets, right?
Right.
And then they were like, oh, poor Elon, he's now number 2 with $350 billion, right?
That's crazy.
And let me tell y'all something.
Poor Elon, right?
Yeah, poor Elon. That's what they know. Like, poor Elon, he's going broke.
$350 billion. Right?
Yeah, man, he's just doing so bad out here.
Now.
In perspective, people with money always feel broke too because they don't have all the money, right? And they're always chasing the next dollar. I've met people who have $300,000-$400,000 in their bank account and they're not satisfied.
They're not satisfied.
So you keep chasing dollars and you're gonna always be chasing dollars. Chase experiences. You could go get Chief tickets and get the nosebleed tickets and then go sit at the Budweiser tent for free. At the 50-yard line.
There you go.
And so you don't have to do anything crazy or you could just live through the experiences instead of feeling like you got to spend an arm and a leg.
I love that. And I live by that. And it's so funny. My friend Valerie, she's always like, Brianna, one thing you're going to spend your money on is an experience. And that is true about me. Someone's always like, what do you spend the most of your money on? A trip, an experience, a restaurant, a moment with my family. I think that experiences are so important. I will take, like you said, that 50-yard line, but paying for the tickets and the nosebleeds any day over trying to keep up with the people in the press box. I just would not do that.
And most of them people got free tickets anyway.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's coming from their job or something. Like, stop kidding me.
Yeah, they's up there for free.
Seriously. I think everything that you just said was amazing. I definitely think we only touched the very surface level. And so we're going to piggyback. We're going to probably have a part 2 if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
Do you have any quotes that you live by? Any final remarks? I always love asking about the quotes in like 3 books that you might recommend to people. And they can even be money books.
Absolutely. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, obviously.
I love that book. Yes.
I like that book specifically because it just helps you with mindset, right? Real quick example in there, they talk about like the actual guy who wrote the book is his dad's poor.
Yep.
And then he's talking about his friend's dad, who he learned everything from. And in that book, though, one thing that I think he did a really nice job setting up at the front was, I respected both men, loved both men, but I had a goal, and the guy who wasn't my father's goal aligned a little bit more. But the dude's dad was like a professor and stuff, so he wasn't like a bum, right? He didn't come from this bum family, and so it kind of gives you both perspectives on how to just respect and how to grow with money. So Rich Dad Poor Dad is one. I read more leadership books than books about money, just because you know. Money ain't everything, and you can lose it if you don't have the skills.
Books have the qualities that you need to be able to set you up, though, for having a successful.
So I'm gonna actually drop an author's name, Brene Brown. She is more like a feminist writer, but she still has really good leadership qualities that I think, especially men, we can really learn from her, because it kind of removes that chauvinism, right, that we have in the workplace, and it just kind of helps us, look at more leadership instead of like it always having to be manfluence. Influence doesn't have to be manfluence. My wife be having so many dope ideas, by the way. If y'all let me come up with ideas, we gonna be in a sad boat. But Brene Brown is a great author. Yeah, shout out to my wife. But I really don't have a lot of quotes right now, because any of the quotes that I share are going to be biblical. They're going to be more they're going to be more of a Christ following. But I would just say, don't live your life by quotes, live your life by actions.
Amen.
What did you see? What behaviors did you see that you really feel like you want to mimic? And that's what you live as quotes.
I love that.
Because people talk all the time.
Actions speak louder than words.
Actions always speak louder than words. But thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Before we do leave, we have an Ask the Connector segment. And so I'm not the money's expert. You are. Do you mind if I share just maybe 2 questions with you from some of our viewers? Okay. So one viewer asked, how do I create and stick to a personal budget?
Yeah. So actually, I'm going to share, Bree, you a couple budgeting tools that are like little Excel sheets, something that's super easy that you can open up on your cell phone. You can link it in the video below. And so that's one way. Pen and paper, pencil and paper, notebook. Hey, this is how much money I made. Look at your last month statement, add up how many times you got paid, add that dollar amount up. This is what I have to work with every single month. Mm-hmm. In that same statement, maybe get 3 statements. That way you can catch stuff that maybe hits every other month or quarterly insurance payments, and then write those down.
Yeah.
And then you just do a simple, this minus this equals what? And if that number is negative, you're in trouble. And some people are, because they lean on credit cards so much. So I'm going to make sure that I share a resource that everyone can have a free template of a budget.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to be using it too. I created my own spreadsheet.
Nice.
And it's just like my household, my child care, my fun money, I call it. And personal expenses. I think that's helped me. I'm going to use yours, because I feel like there's always things to learn. Mm-hmm. The last question someone asked is, how do different investment options like stocks and bonds, things like that, mutual funds, how do they work, and which would be suitable for someone who wants to start investing?
That's a great question. Now, honestly, I'm not going to answer that question. The only reason why I'm not going to answer that question is I want to get y'all a professional in here to actually talk about investing, because I don't want to spread any misinformation. I do understand it on a high level, but I just wouldn't want to give you any incorrect information when I know that we can get an advisor right here in front of y'all to give you the actual ins and outs. Here's what I will say, though, about investing. Do it.
Do it.
Don't not do it.
The day trading is calling my name.
You know what? Even if you don't date, I just want to share this real quick.
Is calling my name.
Because people got to know this. Because investing is like gambling.
It is.
Because you could lose.
Yes.
That's the truth, is that you could lose. But it's a much safer gamble.
Then
you can
go to the boat or a parlay. You know how y'all feel.
It is very rare to lose everything like you could at the boat. So just know that investing is a risk. And that's why you should always get advice from a real professional and not from somebody just like, hey, do this, do that. This is what I did.
Yes. I actually have my financial advisor is with Edward Jones. Nice. And then I have another meeting with another Edward Jones guy next week. So I definitely implore everybody to talk to somebody.
Please.
Somebody. I know somebody in your family got an accounting degree or work at a bank. You need to talk to them, because I think that financial literacy is so important, especially for Black people. And we can get into that another day. So next week, guys, we'll discuss why I love Kansas City so much and the best neighborhoods that I believe that you should be moving to. And this week, we're going to shout out Tea with Tish podcast. That's my girl. She's been killing it. She's been super consistent with her content lately, just traveling. I've been seeing a lot of her shows. And so just wanted to shout out my girl. And thank you guys so much for tuning in this week to Feel Good Friday. So if you love this episode, please share it with your friend. If you feel like someone that you know and love could benefit from the information that we just shared, please send it their way. For now, you can follow us on Instagram. My name is Blocker Real Estate. On YouTube, this is the KC Connector on YouTube. And so you can follow last week's episode, this week's, and more. Do you want to share your Instagram page?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me at Rico Conn. I also believe my Instagram is DOLLAONDOLLA, which is dollar on dollar. Also, I'm on TikTok. Again, you can find me under Rico Conn on that one and on Facebook.
Awesome. Well, it was such a joy. Until next time, KC, stay connected, stay kind, keep making the city great, and have a great day on purpose. See you guys next time.